Welcome to Journey JavaFX. This is the season 1, episode 6. We are going to talk about the controller and Fxml relationship, and also say how they work and how to link them all together. The goal of this episode will be build all those relationships. If we have enough time, I will show you how to read and write a text field control. The one show up on the UI. All right, let's get into it. So here's the notes for this episode. Then we go back to IntelliJ. This is the part I forgot to show you from last episode. We built this form. Let me open it in SimBuilder. We built this form. We have all these controls, but I didn't test it in the last episode. So now I'm gonna do it. It's quite simple. Just go back to our JavaFX season 1 class file, which is outside of the JavaFX folder. Looking for this little button in front of main, or you can utilize this, the one on the upper right corner. So in this way, we don't even need to open up this class file, right? So I will close it and then using this button. Basically, they are the same because we have only one configuration, right? For now. So by default, IntelliJ is smart enough to do this for us. All right, so just click on the button. You see our window just show up. This one is our design. It looks lovely to me. I hope you feel the same way. Okay, to close it, it's quite simple. You can either utilizing this close button given by default, or you can just use this one, the red color square button, but there is a difference. When you use this one to close it, you will see a exit code 0. Depends on where you come from. In different language, some of them call it the return code, and in Java world, we call it exit code. It's just the same idea. The exit code 0 means everything works perfectly without any issue. It's kind of like this. But you also can use that red square button to close it. But in this way, you will get a exit code 130. Not quite sure what it means, but feel free to Google about it. It's more like by using this red square button, it's just killing it. It doesn't care what is going on, it just kill it. So in this way, it's more like we are not turn off our computer by saying Windows menu and shut down. It's more like we just unplug the power. It's kind of something like this. Okay, go back to our thing. So for now, we finished the design of our UI. Not quite finished, but the majority part is finished. We finished this, and in the end of the day, this SimBuilder will save all of this as a Fxml file, which is the one we are just looking at now. Yeah. But now the question is like, okay, this one is more like a presentation layer, right? It only has those objects or controls that we want to show in our window. But where to save all those programs? Right? That is a very good question. So now we are going to create a controller. If you are new to controller, it's pretty simple to understand. There is a concept called MVC concept. M stands for model, but we don't touch it in season 1. V stands for view. It's kind of the in our season, the Fxml is the view. It's kind of the presentation layer. It's only the surface. Right? Whatever happened, it's not on the surface, it's behind the screen. Then those things will be saved inside of a controller, which is the C. C stands for controller, right? So yeah, the concept is quite easy to understand. Then now we are going to create the controller itself. By saying controller, no more than a Java class. So I'm gonna create it under JavaFX. For the purpose of this season, I recommend you do the same, but in real world, you can save it almost like anywhere, as long as under this source folder, like anywhere is fine. So now I'm going to create it, Java class. to make it simple, I just call it controller and then hit enter. So now we have the controller. You can see this controller name is kind of gray out. It means nothing is actually connected to it, right? So now we are going to build the connection. To build it is very simple. Go to the Fxml file. We are looking for the anchor pane. It's kind of it's at the highest level of this hierarchy kind of file, right? We are going to go to the end of this line, hit space. Then IntelliJ is smart enough to pop up this fx : controller attribute name. But on your end, in case it doesn't pop up, just type lowercase fx : and then this menu will pop up for sure, right? Then just double click on controller. This one, the fx : controller, is more like an attribute to tell our anchor pane container where to find the controller, right? This is kind of key value pair, right? But inside of the value for this attribute, we are going to put in the real location of it. But in this one, it's a little tricky. IntelliJ is smart enough to find our subfolder name. It's more like JavaFX. It starts from the source. Just imagine source is the kind of very root of our application, right? All our files sits here. So it's more like so for now I'm gonna choose JavaFX because this is our subfolder name, right? So or I can type it out, JavaFX, and then you gotta use dot, right? For some reason it uses dots. It's not the Windows folder with that slash, right? So but now here we're gonna use dot. When we enter the dot, IntelliJ will be smart enough to looking for the controller thing inside of the JavaFX subfolder. So we're gonna just say controller, or we can just hit type. So IntelliJ will complete the whole word for us. I found it's pretty smart. So now let's do a save. Okay, but by doing this, you may see some error because I just close it. Anyway, when the error comes up, I will show you what's the workaround. Okay, so now we have linked our Fxml file to the controller. When we go back to the controller, you see this one lights up. It means this one is used like somewhere. It's not obsolete. All right. So for now, we're gonna open our Fxml file with the sim builder. So now it's like our board is linked to the controller. So the question will be like, okay, how can we find this text field through our controller, right? Because all the stuff, all the program we are going to do is in the controller. It's quite easy. Just click on this text field, go to the right-hand side, looking for code, right? I already have that type in, but it's okay. So like this now is empty, right? This now we are all aligned. Click on it, right hand side, code, find this fx:/id. So for this one, we can put in a name. The name I used to use like this is the text field, right? We are going to save text inside of it. So I prefer use a text as a prefix. It's more like when I see the name, I know what kind of control this is be, right? So text, and because it's called in, I'm gonna say path, right? It's kind of the incoming purpose, and it's a path. So I call it a text in path. Makes sense? All right, hit enter. So now you will have a kind of pop-up on top and say this one doesn't exist. No big deal. Let's do a save. Control S, right? Minimize it. Come back to our IntelliJ. And then scroll down a little bit, you can see this one is sort of highlighted, right? Text field FXID text in path is kind of highlighted. When we hover our mouse over it, you can see unresolved FXID reference, but we can create a field. Then we just click on it. In this way, it's just create a entry inside of our controller. By default, it's public. By saying public, it means it's available to others. But in my experience, I would turn it into a private. It's more like okay, it's just private. We only use it inside of the controller. We are not expecting to use it in the other places, right? It's more like secured. It's like yeah, this thing will be work in our controller, nowhere else. But you can save the public if you want to utilize it in the other places. Yeah. And then I would like to put a notation here. Click on save. So now we have built the connection between our UI all the way to the controller, right? So it means for now, whenever we use this text in path in our controller, we are going to find this control. To show it, let me do a quick demo. Oh, we got to work on the test button first. Okay, to create the relationship between our controller to this the button is quite simple. Click on the button, and then looking for the code. Right, in this section we have a on action. On action is more like an event. Let's say if I use a mouse to click this button, that is the action. And if you have a fancy touch screen, you can use your finger to touch the button, then it's also an action, right? So action will be the easiest one. I would use this one, but if you are curious about all the rest, just take a look at them, and all of them has a hyperlink. For example, like this, sorry about that. For example, like this one, you can just click on it. It will open up a web page which lead us to the JavaFX official documentation, right? So in that way, if you are not sure what this means, there are going to be a lot of explanations. That is quite helpful. On action, so for this one, I'm gonna using this kind of a naming convention because the control itself is a button, right? I'm gonna say BTN stands for button, and then on action, this is button name is test, right? And on action. Yeah, naming it like this, it's more like okay, when we look at the name, we know what exactly this thing is designed for. Makes sense? We're gonna do a save. So now we're gonna go back to our Fxml and looking for the button. It should be on the bottom. All right, you see here, we got a red color thing, say on action, whatever. And when we hover our mouse over it, we can see kind of resolve, and then below it we have a create a method for it, right? Then just click on it. All right, we have the method. So it's more like whenever we click on this button will trigger all the stuff we want to do between these two things, curly braces. All right, and again, to read whatever the value of this text field, we're gonna do this. It's very simple. Let's say text in path dot get text. How simple is that, right? And when we hover our mouse on top of it, we can see, okay, the get text method, it actually returns a string, right? So if we want to save the value, we can declare a new variable. Let's say string, str stands for string. If we follow the same name in path, equal to, then it means, you know, when this event fires, it will come here, and then we are looking for the text field control on our UI, and we get the text of it. With the result, we save it into our variable. This is how we extract the whatever is saved in that, you know, text field, right? So for now, I'm gonna do a s_out_p. It's kind of a shorthand for IntelliJ. s_out_p, it means system out print line. It's just easier for us to type out, type out the whole thing, right? After you input s_out_p, hit tab, it will auto complete whatever the rest. This part is unfortunate. I don't really like it, but it's fine. We can just highlight it and delete it. And what we want to print out? We want to print out the value of the text field, right? So I'm gonna say str in pass, and then now we can run it. It means the expectation is when we have the UI, we click on a button, and then we should have whatever in the text box to be printed out in the log, right? Make sense? Let's do it right away. Okay, everything looks okay. Let me just click on test. Nothing happened because we have nothing in the box. Let's say what's up. Test it. You see, we got what's up. That's cool. Let's say what's up, y'all. Test. What's up, y'all. Looks great, right? It's very simple. Now we know how to extract whatever is saved there. How about we want to put something inside of it, even if putting data in the text box is not related to season 1, but yeah, since we are already here, we just test it. Let's say it's quite simple. First, find the control, which is text in pass dot set text. Let's put in I am awesome, so putting something here. Fair enough. Yeah, for now I'm gonna comment it out because we don't need to read. We are testing out, if we can put something in it. Run it. Test it. I am awesome, so putting something here. All right. It's as simple as that. Only one line of code, we can do this amazing thing. All right, let's wrap up.